everybody, it's Megan and I'm back. I'm here today to talk about our spring craft. It's this mossy bunny centerpiece. I love this craft. I think it's super cute and it's super easy to make, so I'm really excited to talk about it today. And I can't wait to decorate for spring either, so I'm really excited. This will look great on a table or even outside on your porch if it's not too windy of a day. It should be fine. So really excited. I'm going to show you how we made this right now. Okay, so the things that we are going to use today and that are included with your packet is this small little clay pot. We've got our moss that I bought at the Dollar Tree. We've got just a skewer, paint brush, some chalk paint that's included, and these bunny ears I cut out for you, and some newspaper and things that are not included but that you'll need to supply, masking tape and glue. Oh, and we have our ribbon too for the bow. So we can go ahead and start. All right, the first thing we're going to want to do today is we're painting our little pot white with our clay paint, and you should have more than enough to do this. It goes on pretty thick, so one at the very most 2 coats is all you really need, and it just needs a little bit of drying time in between, maybe 15-20 minutes. Okay, so after we paint our small pot, we can put that aside to dry, and then comes the fun part where we're going to make these balls for the bunny rabbit body. So there's a slightly bigger ball and then a slightly smaller ball. So how we are going to make the ball is through using the newspaper that was included in your packet, and we're just going to start just by crumpling it up into a small ball. This is a surprisingly effective way to make things by just using newspaper and tape. You make a small ball, and then we can take our masking tape and just rip off a piece, and then we can just kind of tape it up. So it's going to stay in that ball shape for us. You can just kind of wrap it around. Okay, so just kind of tape it up. It does not have to be perfect. I say that all the time, but it's usually true, or even close to perfect. Just be approximate ball shape. And then once you have that, you're going to keep going. Put another layer on. So it's bigger, and then layer some tape around to keep it in the ball shape again. And keep going until you have the body the size that you want. So I'm going to say that my head is about this big. So like 2 layers of paper, and then my body is, I would say about 4 or 5 inches across. So we're going to keep going for the body shape. If you find that you rolled it and it's not quite round, you can just use your tape and get at the part that's kind of sticking out, and that really helps to keep your shape nice and round for this project. Okay, so I am done with my 2 balls that I made with the newspaper, and they're about that size, kind of looks like a snowman. The bigger one, I used 5 layers of newspaper and wrapped the masking tape pretty tight to form this ball shape. And the same, and this one, the small, I used 3 layers of newspaper and wrapped it tight again with the masking tape. If you find that it's still a little bit not rounded, you can just put another layer of tape on and pull it pretty tight to keep it more round. And I did not mention this in the beginning, but I am also using rocks in my small clay jar or pot because that's going to give it some heaviness, so it'll stay up a little bit easier, especially if you put it outside. And then we're going to use this skewer that I gave you. You can break it, and we're going to stick it through the body of our bunny to kind of keep it together and upright. And the best way to stick it in is to make a hole just the bottom of your body with scissors or a knife. Be very careful, please. And then you can easily put your skewer in there, and then you can stick your skewer right in your clay jar and it's going to stay there. Now, if you prefer to keep it once we're done to give it a better seal, you can also glue right here with hot glue or tacky glue or whatever to keep it down. But that's what I did. I just used that skewer to stick it into the rocks, and it stays pretty well that way. And then we're also going to do the same thing and use the skewer between the top, the head and the body to keep those two together. And once we have the body attached mainly how we want it, we can start doing the fun part, which is putting the moss on. Now, if your head and your body are not really feeling too secure, we can just tape them down later once we have everything the way we want it. But for now, it's fine. And I am using just my white glue, really cheap white glue, works just fine. And this part can get a little messy, so if you're working on your table or somewhere you care about, I would put something down. That extra newspaper you probably have left over would work just fine as a drop cloth. And then we just take our moss. So we spread the glue, take the moss. You can kind of break it up. It's kind of stuck together. Just start gluing it on. If it's not totally covering everything the way you want, you can always just go back later and cover any bare spots you see. But you should be able to just place some moss down pretty easily, and of course let it dry before you touch it or move it around too much. So I just do some spots here and there and then let that dry and then keep going. So it's a little bit time consuming, but not as time consuming as some of the other projects we have done. So I trust that you will be just fine with this. And before I get too far along, I am just going to glue, or I'm going to tape my bunny ears down onto my head. I was going to wait till after, but I think it's easier to do it beforehand so that you can cover over that taped part with the moss as you go. So I think just doing it beforehand is great. So I'm just going to tape it down like that. Pretty easy. And I'm going to kind of tape it between the ears in the middle. We'll keep them sticking up the way you want them to at the end. Okay, I am almost done. I covered my entire bunny, which took a little bit of time, but not bad. And I see a little bit of some spots where the newsprint is coming through, so I'm just touching those up. And I did the whole back and the ears. And we are pretty much done now. We just have to make the bow tie. Okay, and the last step is to make our bow tie. So I'm just got this burlap, white burlap ribbon that with wired edges, so it's easy to manipulate here. And I'm doing it in half so it's not quite as wide for this little guy. And I'm just making my bow, which we've done this before. You're just doing one end over, and then the other end over. And then if you have extra, you can do once you have it like this, then if you have extras in a square like this, you can kind of go like pinch everything together and put this around like that, and then glue it all down in the back. Okay, so once I have it kind of how I want it, I've got this middle part that I can tie in the, or glue down in the middle part here to form the nice bow tie shape. And then you can sort of fluff it up the way you want it. Like that is great. And then you can just glue it right on your bunny, right in the middle of his neck, and you will be good to go. That's it. That's all it took to make this super cute Easter decoration or spring decoration. I love this guy, and I had a fun time making him, and I hope you did too. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me today. Bye.